Ooh, what's up, jobbers, and welcome to the latest edition of the Jobber Knocker podcast. As always, Nestlemania alongside for the right is a man that always will tell everybody that he will go number one in the draft, JC.
Yeah, and I mean, I did a much better job drafting Monday Night JC, as you all listened to last week. Better than Nestlemania. I did better than Pearson Aldis as well. But Nestlemania, we got a loaded show. We got a little whoosh, backlash in Francois to get to at the end of the show. We're gonna touch on some cokeheads. We're going head to head with spring break, and that's why I'm wearing the shades. And yeah, there was a draft this week, Nestlemania.
There was a draft. We should probably start off with this draft. And it's interesting what a mixed bag this is. I will just say, as somebody that has watched every draft in WWE and most other drafts, I liked what they did, or at least I applaud the attempt of making it feel more sports-like. The minute Triple H came out and said they're trying to protect what they already have, I went, I gotta find a piece of paper. It was like, he was like, so they're just going to try to protect their picks. I just went, okay. So basically what you're telling me is this doesn't fucking matter. Like, I appreciate the line, but the minute he said that, I went, this is irrelevant. Almost, there was like, we'll get to it, but there's like, what, 45 draft picks it felt like, and like 6 of them made me excited, and that was it.
Well, it's such a hard thing because you're doing a draft between two brands, and the pool that you're drafting from are on those two shows. So a lot of them are going to be like SmackDown was pretty much like, there was a couple, but it was pretty much like everyone just drafting their own guys. So it's one of those things. Like, I do agree. The presentation, they started doing this type of presentation last year. I think they improved on like the rules and stuff this year by just protecting the champions, because it keeps all that nonsense out of it. So it's like they're making improvements, but at the end of the day, it's like I'm watching this and I'm like, I literally, like, there's a few like that made sense. Like some of the bigger factions went to Raw. It makes sense. It balances the roster more, which I think is the end goal of this. I think the rosters are a little more balanced because of the draft. But in terms of making a presentation and interesting television, the only ones that are interesting are the NXT picks, because that feels like an actual draft, because you're drafting people to the main roster and you literally have the performance set up like draft party. It's fucking awesome. Like they've done this the last couple of years. It's a really cool atmosphere. And it seems like some of the superstars legitimately don't know if they're getting drafted or not. Like we had Lyra with one of the coolest reactions ever. Blair Davenport also had the awesome reaction to being drafted, just surprised. So we saw it last year with like Indy Hartwell and Grayson Waller and stuff. Like it's a really cool thing. And to me, that's what I'd focus on in terms of this draft. It's just like the draft part of it is you're drafting the NXT talent to Raw and SmackDown. And it's like a competition of who gets who. And in terms of like other superstars changing, that's the part that's difficult. I don't know if you treat it like it's like a free agency type thing where you kind of negotiate up until and there's a chance to steal, or if like there's just trades that happen on the night, like with certain things. It's like, oh, Bob, man, Final Testament's pissed at me. I got to trade them for, oh, man, I really want to get Kevin Owens. You know what I mean? So I think there's different ways you could do it, but I'd probably lean more into like the actual draft part, just being the NXT part, because that's really the only compelling part of this.
I tend to agree with you 100%. I think the other thing too is I wouldn't even hate the idea of making it like the transfer window or some type of trade deadline special where it's a specific thing. Like, because making it about the NXT people, it just felt like they were pillaging NXT. It wasn't like someone was getting drafted to NXT. And I feel like that was kind of the weird, like, I get what you're saying, but if they
Well,
just
but the whole point of NXT is it's developmental. You know what I mean? It's
no,
like the
no, no.
minor
I
leagues.
understand. I understand. I'm just trying to make sense of something that doesn't make sense. For me, I'm looking at it from a perspective of if it was people getting drafted to NXT, then it's a third brand, but they're not going to
That's
do
what
that.
they do when they sign people, and then
Right.
you know what I mean. So like,
Right.
there's a new tag team debuting tonight on Spring Break, and like that's like there some of the, you know what I mean. It's one
Yeah.
of the that's what NXT is. So to me, it's like you just treat it like you're like NXT is college football. So the NFL is Raw and SmackDown. You're drafting from the best players of college football on your rosters, and it's like a big thing because you're moving up. It means more money, more exposure, and all this. And so that's kind of like I think what they need to do with it. But it does obviously you want movement between Raw and SmackDown, and that's the part you have to iron out. And that's I don't know if whether you because we saw the last couple weeks like Aldis and like Pierce like competing to sign Braun Breaker and Jade Cargill. What the fuck was the point of that when you could just draft them? Like Braun Breaker, like signed with SmackDown, when he just gets drafted to Raw. Same with Andrade. The freaking Adam Pierce got him signed with Raw. He gets drafted to SmackDown. So I think it's just like you kind of had the right idea. You're just not implementing it correctly. Make that stuff matter where it's like, yeah, you've been working to make sure Jade Cargill wants to stay on your brand. So then when the draft comes, like she's not really in the pool, but it's like, oh man, it couldn't work things out with Drew McIntyre. There's a real threat. We might have to trade him to SmackDown. You know what I mean? So it's just that's the part they have to iron out. It's not perfect. I don't think it's a perfect way to do it, but I think that that's the element they have to do next because people aren't going to be impressed when it's like, look at the first round from SmackDown. It was like Seth Rollins stays on Raw. It was Bianca stays on SmackDown, and Carmella was obviously the big one to SmackDown. But it just like most of the rounds were like that. It was just them drafting their own superstars. So you didn't get many of the twists that I think people were looking for.
And our boy Joe Stopper says, make NXT and an NXT episode 1 hour draft showcase special. I mean, I don't hate that idea, Joe. I just think that it doesn't seem as important in some ways if it's like that. I don't know. It just
it shouldn't be on NXT. It should be on SmackDown and Raw like they do it. And they're smart to capitalize on NFL draft weekend. That's the whole reason why they started doing it this weekend was to capitalize on the draft buzz. It's the same reason why Tony Khan wanted to do brackets during March Madness and everybody else who does things. It's like you're capitalizing on things that are happening. I just think like they're on the right track. Every year, I think there are certain things they've gotten better at, but it's not a perfect science yet.
I'm not even going to say that comment. I love Daniel very much, but no, not doing that.
Should we get into some of the actual like picks that mattered though?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Let's discuss.
So yeah, let's start with like the NXT crop. Obviously, I believe the big ones are Mello's on SmackDown. I think Blair Davenport's on SmackDown and on Raw. They got Kiana James, Dragunov. Who were the other NXTs? I had them all written down and I lost it. Oh, Dijak is up on Raw and Baron Corbin's on SmackDown. So there are a lot of them that surprise, and then Lyra's obviously on Raw. I was curious what women were going to be called up because we know like NXT has been like a freaking like machine, like pumping them out. And it seemed like once Lyra lost her title, it's like, okay, seems like she could be coming up. And I think she's ready. Blair Davenport, I think someone who's been around for a while, that it was one of those, it's like, it's time to figure it out, sink or swim. But obviously Mello, they're be presenting him as a big star right away.
Listen, I was excited for all these people to see their genuine reaction. It was great. Like you said, Lyra and a couple others had those like, but when Dragunov got picked, I was just like, this guy's ready to put his head through the fucking wall.
He's on the same show as Gunther. He's like,
yeah. It was just like when I saw him, I'm just like, there's something about him that you watch him and you're just like, I get it. Like you don't have to like him, you don't have to hate him. You get it. Like Dragunov is just so great. How soon can we get Dragunov to Imperium? Now
Gunther said in an interview, he said Dragunov is a better foe than he'd be a partner. So I don't think that's happening.
So yeah, we'll talk about that, I'm sure, at some point here with the whole is Imperium growing or is Imperium shrinking? We don't really know.
Imperium was the #1 overall pick, man, on Monday. So
yeah, so it was what it was. But I tend to agree when I look at a lot of these draft picks, it's like, okay, I was really excited about a couple of things. Like the NXT people, I thought are great. Like I'm very curious to see what happens with Dijak. Like I am, because I feel like he was brought up under a really shitty circumstance with the shitty group, and then he just went back down, reinvented himself, and now he's back. And the wrestling's never been his problem. It just seems to be the character. And now he's got this character, which I would believe that Triple H would know how to handle it, you would think. I'm very interested to see what Lyra does. I think she's got a really good look. I think she's got a cool entrance, and I think she's definitely a really good worker. So that's cool. The one head scratcher for me, and I get it, it seems more of like a previous regime's gimmick. Is the what's her name? Excuse me. Is it Kiana James?
Kiana James.
Yeah, like I like her in the ring. I think she's kind of a bitch. I like that, but I feel like it's not a three-dimensional character yet. So I'm like I'm holding my breath in terms of like the ceiling here. But I am curious because I feel like there needs to be people who can kind of lose a lot. And I feel like maybe she'll plug that hole there in terms of losing a little bit
Well,
more.
the one thing that's seen with her is she seemed to be like one of the most veteran of the women. She's been there for a while, and she's someone that everyone, like from all the interviews that I've read, is like she's the one that people believe is like the best in the ring down there in terms of experience and ability. And you know what? I'm always going to be a fan of her because I don't know if you realize who trained her in Nestlemania, who's she a student of. The perfect 10, Sean Spears. So, you know, she is an absolute stud in the ring. But I do think her gimmick, it's obviously it's a pretty simple. It's like a boss gimmick. It's you know, she comes out, she has like the bitch walk, like whatever. So I think it's a pretty simple one to understand, like you said. But it's just like it's all it is. It's that translation to like the bigger audience because she's gonna come on screen the first couple times and most people aren't gonna know who she is. I do think her entrance is cool with like the helicopter thing and the music, the dan. So it's one of those things. We've always had it with some of these call-ups that are kind of like the ones that aren't like the top stars, but the ones that, you know, maybe you get them on the main roster, they can find a good niche and do a really good job. It's just, you kind of got to get them out there. Cause it's funny when we look at these draft picks. I remember last year, Grayson Waller wasn't even drafted as part of like the show. He was drafted on the exclusive after, and he turned out to be like one of the biggest ones on SmackDown in terms of success. So a lot of it is what you make of it. And if you're good, you're going to make it. I think her being on Raw definitely helps. I think that gives her a better chance than like Blair because you have that extra hour. And there's just going to be more exposure and more opportunities. So, but it's one of those, they made a point. They did her on Friday. She was one of the few surprises. I think it was just her and Mello on Friday in terms of NXT. So I thought her or Fallon would probably both get drafted. They didn't draft Fallon. So it was just Kiana, but it's going to be interesting, but I think she's in a good spot to have a better chance than maybe some of the others that went to SmackDown.
I always feel like Raw is a better place for someone new to land because there's more time, right? There's more effort.
Extra hour.
Yeah, you got that extra time and you can figure shit out. SmackDown, like Mello's going to be fine because he's Mello.
Yeah,
but you
just
look
like Waller was fine. It's like if you're that
right.
good, you're fine.
Yeah, exactly. But you look at SmackDown and it's like, okay, so I like a lot of what happened on SmackDown personally. Like we'll talk about non-NXT people. I like that Nia Jax went over to SmackDown. Yeah. I think that's helpful because we need a good heel on SmackDown. I think, you know, Andrade was a huge get. I think that's incredible. I think that's wonderful for him. I like Corbin, obviously, for obvious reasons. But then, like, your boy Vinci got something going there. DIY and Candice and Indy, they're going to have, again, they're seasoned. They can figure it out. That's fine.
Chelsea Green and Piper Niven ended up over there, and then your boy Shinsuke. I think those are all the changes. Everyone else was like, I was hoping the Pride would go to Raw, but it is what it is.
I don't know. I'm really interested to see what happens on SmackDown, but there is that weird thing where we can discuss it here, I guess. It's the bloodline thing where it's like Roman Reigns said he was not in the draft. And then they were like, this is the part that threw me off a little bit. It was like they had an immediate promo where it was like Solo, like, where do we get drafted? We didn't get drafted yet. Heyman's like, they don't know what they're getting with the bloodline. And then literally the next pick is the bloodline. And I was like, you could have waited.
But I think they did the same thing with the Judgment Day. It was kind of like, because I think if you include Roman Reigns and Rhea Ripley with their groups, they're like number one overall picks. But I think it's interesting that if you strip Roman Reigns away, it is true. You don't know what you're getting. And both those factions were now third round picks, like instead of top tier. So I like kind of the device they did with it because look, we all know when Roman comes back, he's going to be on SmackDown because that's where the bloodline is and that's where Cody is. It's pretty fucking obvious, but it's like, I kind of like that because we kind of talked about it last week when we did our little mock draft. It was like, do we want to draft injured people? Because they're not really on screen right now. Why would we waste an opportunity to put someone else over who's on TV currently when it doesn't matter? Like save the Roman Reigns return for when he returns. You know what I mean? So I think it's the same thing. Like Charlotte didn't get drafted last night. I think though that's kind of smart to just ignore it because you see, like there already were people that had to go to like the exclusives, which I know they want to do it on social or whatever, but it's just like, it's kind of cool to see the people get their graphic on the main show. But yeah, no, the bloodline thing I really liked because it's continuing that storyline of being like, I know it happened immediately, so the timing probably wasn't great, but it's like I like that Heyman said that we don't know what we're getting because we don't. It just is interesting, like with this like solo going rogue thing. So I think it kind of fit, and then it also works for Judgment Day on Raw because Priest goes, "You guy went in the third round. That's pathetic." And Dom's like, "Yeah, we got drafted." He's like, "Yeah, but maybe you would have been higher if you didn't take the L's." So for like those particular instances, they at least were using it for part of the current story, which that's what you got to maximize in these type of things, is use it as a device to further it.
Is there anything else about the draft that you did or didn't like that you want to discuss?
I don't know. It's always fun to me because when you look at it and it's like the first overall pick is Jey Uso on Raw.
Yeah.
That stuff's always so weird to me. And then we get to Monday and what Drew McIntyre goes in the third round. It never makes any sense, which whatever. I get it. They do it for a reason, and it's to like balance it. And then you look at SmackDown, it's like I believe they took I think Braun Breaker and Liv Morgan went before like Randy Orton and stuff. It is what it is. It's just like it's whatever. It's a thing. But I just think that's why to me it's just like you find a different way to present this in terms of people changing, because if you look at it, like, yeah, there's some headlines. Like I like that the LWO and Final Testament are going to Raw because those factions were getting so fucking big on SmackDown where it's like, they're just going to have to feud with the Pride or with the Santos group. So it's like, send them over there. There's more opportunity. They even like sent Carlito over with the LWO to further that. They're just like, that's the one positive I think of all this is that they did balance the rosters. Like we got a lot more superstars on Raw than SmackDown, which is what needs to happen.
Okay. I mean, so our boy, the backhugger says, I like the shakeup. I hate the process. And I think that's what we kind of agree with, Joe. I think that's really what it comes down to.
You got to iron it out.
Yeah. We got to figure out a way to make it more interesting for the viewer because we, like you said, we like the result, but do we like, I literally watched SmackDown and I thought we can go through it, but I thought SmackDown to me was like irrelevant in terms of new information, right? With the exception of the draft. Like the matches didn't matter really to me.
I mean, I thought Cody and Melo wrestling on the first night was cool because it was one of those things. It's a cool device. It's like your new first round pick superstars getting a shot at the number one guy, the champion. It's an easy story to tell. They do it. They've done it a million times, obviously, but it's literally like it made John Cena's career. It wasn't in a draft thing, but like that's what you do. It's like you put them in there with the best. You have them come up short, but then you have something to build towards, and then people get to see him and be like, oh, this guy matters. Like it's a good device. And plus it's Melo and Cody in a wrestling match. Who the fuck doesn't like that?
Is it true that Nestle got drafted to WWE Speed, so we only have to put up with him for 3 minutes every week?
I like that's pretty good. That's really good.
Man, we haven't discussed WWE Speed, but it's essentially all jobber alerts because it's 3 minutes or less. So
yeah, I mean, it's a crazy process to me. It's not. I feel like I'm not the target audience. I will say, like, I mean, Ricochet should probably be the champion of that forever because no one can maximize 2 minutes or whatever it is, probably more than him in terms of like fun, like quick video. But like, again, it's one of those things. Like, it's an interesting concept, but I don't really care.
JC isn't that long-winded. All right. Well, there you go. Thank you for coming to my rescue, Joe Stopper. Anyway, overall, like we said, like the draft, like what we got. I felt it was weird that we didn't get as many switches on the shows, but there
was more Monday than Friday, but Friday was not a good way to start it because there was like 2.
Yeah. All right, we want to get into the regular part of the show then.
Always in the shine, much like drumroll, please, Nestlemania. Tony Khan putting himself in the storylines. This is the greatest thing AEW's ever done, and I have been waiting for 6 days to talk about this, Nestlemania. For those of you who don't know, Dynamite ended with Tony Khan coming out to the ring to welcome Jungle Boy Jackass Perry back into AEW. And he beat up Tony Khan, and Tony Khan took I believe it's called a TK driver now, as he eloquently told us during an NFL draft interview with his neck brace. But Nestlemania, when this happened, I was like, oh my God, AEW's doing something interesting for the first time in like forever. This is like the first non-MJF storyline where I'm like, oh my God, this is going to work. It is so fucking ridiculous that it is so fucking awesome. And what did I say in the thread that night? I'm like, that motherfucker better be in a neck brace when they show him at the draft. And by God, he was in the goddamn neck brace, fucking hamming up, turning his neck all which ways. But I didn't care. This is my favorite thing AEW might have ever done. It is ridiculous, and I cannot wait. I'll be working tomorrow, but I cannot wait to watch the clips on Twitter while I'm working to see what happens and then watch it when I get home. Like, this is the most excited I've been about something in AEW in like eons. And it's so fucking simple. It's stupid. They're probably gonna fuck it up because it's AEW. But for right now, Nestlemania, this is just what's the easiest device in wrestling? Fucking attack the boss. Boom, done, sold, all in, baby. I'm all in.
You're underselling the lead to me. Shad Khan was the star of that entire thing. It was just like, what the fuck is this shit? Like,
one of the richest men in the world.
I just laughed so hard. Like, they just paraded his ass out. And then you see like the other thing too, that like, again, it's wrestling logic. But if we were trying to think like what was going on here, was like, none of those guys came out in the middle of him getting beaten up. They waited till him to be done getting beaten up, which I thought was funny to me. But anyway, it is what it is. When I saw it, I went, "Oh God, Josh is gonna love this so much because I love this so much."
It's so good. And this is like the dumb reasons why we watch wrestling.
Right.
It's just like this is that extra stuff that it just when it happens, it's just I can't look away.
It's not lost on me how hypocritical that Tony Khan is over the years, but the fact that he did say he didn't want to be an on-screen owner thing, and I was like, I hope this was a one-off just to get Jack Perry some heat and like get him whatever. And so I have a couple questions that I'm going to ask the chat, but more importantly, I want JC's opinion on these things. First off, what did you think about the WWE is a certain type of company after that comment when he was in his neck brace?
I mean, that interview is why that's the problem with Tony is he always sometimes goes a little too far by pulling the HW reference there. I'm assuming you're alluding to.
Yes.
Yeah, it just that wasn't that. I mean, that's the problem. Is it just you can't whatever, but it just everything else about this, I think it's just so great. And like that interview, besides that one stupid fucking comment was great because it's watching Tony is fucking insane. Cause you ask him a question. It doesn't even matter what you ask him. Like, hey, Tony, is the sky blue? And he's like, oh, this week on Wednesday on Dynamite, we're going to have a great show, sold out crowd. There are a few tickets still available if you want to go, but it's going to be a great show. We got a great main event. We have the return of this. We have the debut of this, and it's going to be a great show. AEW, we're doing so many great things right now. We got our show All In on London. We got it over the summer. Tickets are available now. It's going to be such a great show. We're gonna have great main events. We have so many great superstars and this and that and this and that. And it's like, okay, Tony, well, how's your neck? Oh, it's gonna be a great. It's funny. It's just like you pull the string. So I could watch him do this shit all day because he is literally just like a fucking robot promoter. But it just unfortunately he threw that one little line in there. Where it's like, oh, dude, you just can't help yourself. You fucking did everything right, and then you make the one dumb mistake, and suddenly you take all the positive and you put it back and get attention for the wrong reasons. But that's AEW. That's been AEW since it started. They do it all the time. And it's just like, oh, you were so close to perfection. You were so close.
All I could say was that when I was really interested with the whole thing, and it was so interesting to me that Pat McAfee, a WWE employee, had to talk about what it was, being like, and he took a Meltzer driver. Like, I was just like,
Pat can do whatever he wants.
I know, but it was just like, it was so interesting to me because it felt like I was in a bizarro world where you're not supposed to break the fourth wall or mention something. And it was just so funny to me. He was like, yeah, he took a Meltzer driver. And I was just like, or a Tony Khan driver. And then the boys on the panel just fucking torched him for moving his neck, which is like, keep the gimmick strong. Yeah. I was like, this is great. But like that portion was great. Moving on to the next question. Somebody actually tweeted out that this is a comparison to Austin McMahon with Tony Khan and Jack Perry, which I started dying when
look, the only comparison there is just like, that's the greatest example of this type of storyline device. But it's obviously complete opposite in terms of it because Tony Khan is not the villain, first of all. And second of all, Tony Khan is not Vince McMahon, but it's just a simple storyline device. It's it's just a feud with a boss. And in this case, it's a bad guy with the boss that people love. It's a simple thing, but it just, what excites me more is like how they can capitalize doing this. Obviously it's probably going to lead to like a Team Tony versus the Elite. So that's games. Like the
war game, probably,
blood and guts. Yeah, that's what's curious to me because I'm thinking about it. I'm like, okay, we know Omega's coming back because the Canada blew that. So it's like he's probably going to be on Team Tony because the Elite did their thing where they kicked him out. So I'm looking at we have the Bucks, we have Okada, and we have Jack Perry. That's 4. So a 5th, I'm thinking maybe Hangman because he's been kind of a heel. Maybe he teams up back with them. Maybe he teases like he's going to go with Tony and goes with them. But then I'm thinking of the other side, and I'm like, well, Darby probably would have been in there if he didn't get hit by a fucking bus, so he's out. But the big one for me is like, and this is for many reasons. So you got to hear me out on this one. This is how you bring MJF back. Because it's not even about MJF fighting for Tony. It's about what comes next. because now Tony owes MJF. And that is a storyline that I am interested in because it gives MJF power over and within the company, over the boss. It's one of those things because this is back in the day, like when they did the Survivor Series, where if you fought for the GM, they owed you a favor. I always thought that was cool. Some people would blow and be like, "Oh, I want to shot the tag team titles," but there'd always be that one character that was smart enough to save it and use it for something. And like that little thing, I'm like, okay, that's where my wheels started turning. Be like, this is going to be a really cool way to get MJF back in, because in that dynamic down the line, you're setting the groundwork for something even cooler. So my mind's already gone a million places. So I'm very into this storyline.
I loved every second of that entire exchange. I love that he couldn't sell. I thought that was perfect. I thought like him taking the Meltzer driver was great, and then the Bucks at the stage and Okada, it just, all of it was great. I loved every second of it, and I'm so curious. The other thing that he did say was tune into Wednesday night, obviously, because it's Tony Khan promotional, that he is only going to be working remote now, and that there will be somebody that is the most high-ranking AEW official. And my brain started swirling, and all I could think about was, I feel like it would be Sting.
I feel like maybe in this instance, maybe it's Kenny. Maybe that's like kind
of can't fight. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I just think because when you say it, because obviously, like that's the other thing that I think people are lost on. I was kind of going back and forth with our boy Dom, poor Dom, who just was so anti this, and we were also positive of it. But to me, like this AEW actually has done really well with this because they've been laying the groundwork with this Young Bucks gimmick of them like trying to fight for power within the company. And them taking out Tony Khan is them directly being like, we're taking over this company. So that to me is the other interesting part of it. It's like, oh my God, they've thought this through. This wasn't just a random thing they decided to do, take advantage of some draft promotion. Like this is something they've been laying groundwork for, which for AEW is very rare. So that's to me, it's like a whole nother power dynamic, but having them work remote. I think in terms of on-screen character, like Kenny makes sense because it's him and the Bucks are all on the same level, they're the EVPs or whatever. So it's just, I don't know who else on screen has a higher like title than them. So I think that's kind of how you start to set it up. But either way, I just think there's so many things they can do with this. It's something interesting. Look, we're fucking leading the shine with this. When do we ever do that in AEW Nestlemania? Never. So they're doing something right.
And finally, the last question, anybody in the chat, please, you can give me your 2 cents as well, or anybody listening, tweet out at Jobberknocker. In retrospect, hindsight being 2020 now, JC.
Yep.
Airing the Jack Perry footage, does it seem like it worked now? Because in my mind, I feel like as much as we shit on it when it happened because of the back and forth, kind of like you did what you could with CM Punk and you tried to make him look like the bad guy, even though he just told the truth. There's a part of me when I was watching this that went, I kind of feel like this was justified now. Like it's not, it was a sloppy execution, but I'm willing to look past it because I feel like this is as good as Jack Perry's going to get.
So my question back to you would be after I'm going to give my answer, but I would like curious your take because I thought about this too. And I was like, but I feel like you could have just done this without doing the footage at all, and it would have been just as effective. So to me, it's like, what did it add, if anything? I don't think it really did anything. I think it's one of those things where they thought they probably needed it, but like, I don't know, because to me, I was just like, it felt like such a waste. And I look back and I'm like, if they just did what they did Wednesday, like it'd still be believable. We already knew Jack Perry wasn't with them. He was over in Japan. We saw him. He tore up his contract and he's been whatever, all this. So it's like, I didn't need to see the footage to know what, like, you know what I mean? So I don't think it added anything, but if you can sell me on what it actually added to this, I'd be definitely, because maybe there's something I'm missing. But to me, because I did try to think, I'm like, what's the link? But then I'm like, I feel like if they didn't do it, this still would have been exactly the same. So I still feel like that was a miss. But if you have like a reason why it isn't, I'm very curious.
So I tend to agree with you on how you feel, but if I'm taking a stab in the dark here, what I think they originally thought was like, okay, we're going to do this to fucking make ourselves look like, we're in the right here, which they weren't. And it is what it is. But I will say what they did do is something that they never do is because it's welcome to AEW, fucking ADD. It's like fucking, you know what I mean? They took a moment to be like, here's the footage. And even the week before, the EVPs were like, hey, Scapegoat, love your work. So I felt like showing the video and your work then basically told me as I was watching it, holy shit, this is like almost feeling like a recap, like a reason why, instead of being like, Hey, here's Jack Perry. Like, the story. Come on. Fucking let's go into the fucking HOV lane and fucking kick it into 80 and never explain anything. And I went, you know what? At least they tried. And I can't believe they tried, but they did it. And I'll give them that because honestly, it's Jack Perry is never going to be a strong promo. He's just not. It's amazing to me that he came from the ball sack of Luke Perry, who is a great actor. God bless his soul. But Jesus Christ.
You know what's even more amazing, Nestlemania?
That I know
that Anna Jay sucks on that ball sack.
I know. It's just, life sometimes is just not fair and not fathomable. It just doesn't work. I don't get it. But anyway, I would say that they're trying to make sense of something that don't make sense. And I applaud them in their dilly-dally preschool way that they did it. That's all.
Yeah, no, it's definitely interesting. But like, look at, man, like I said, like I'm all into this. I'm curious to see what happens. Like I said, though, like in the thread on Twitter and on the show, I'm sure they're gonna fuck it up and make it terrible because that's just what AEW does. But for right now, I think this was one of the best things they've ever done. And I know a lot of people it upsets. And it's funny. It feels like the people who really like it are people like us who have not been enjoying AEW. And the people who are hating are like the diehard AEW fans who just kind of want everything to stay the same. And just like, you know what? This is what you need to go to the next level. And it's worth a shot.
One more final thought before we move on. Very quickly. I tweeted this, but I think it is something I really wanted to hit home here. If this is a 5-on-5, 4-on-4 blood and guts scenario, boy, did they fuck up. Because, in my opinion, think about this, right?
Okay.
In a hypothetical world, this doesn't exist. This is Planet Faluga, Nestlemania Island, whatever you want to call it. But you have let's say it's 4. Let's say it's the Elite and the Scapegoat, and they're looking, and it's like, it's got to be Kenny, supposedly, right? It's probably, I'm throwing out FTR because FTR Bucks, it makes sense, yeah. Right? But here's the kicker, and you can say it's Hangman or whatever, and that's true. But they missed the boat if they had kept CM Punk. Like if he was still in free agency.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like that moment of him being on the opposite side of kicking Jack Perry's ass and defending Tony Khan would be astronomically head-blowing fucking what the fuck am I watching? Like that to me is where they fucked up. Like that's where they fucked up. So
yeah, who knows? I mean, there was this would be infinitely times better if they could use CM Punk, but unfortunately, this literally happened because of the issues everyone had with CM Punk. So it is what it is. But yeah, no, it would be something, wouldn't it? Oh, that'd be something.
Speaking of CM Punk, I would like to continue the shine here, which I think, to me personally, is one of the scrumdiddlyumptious moments of Raw history here.
Wow. Raw history.
This is a strong thing. But I was watching each of these segments, whether it was Drew McIntyre or something else, and I kept thinking to myself, they're making an argument already in April, almost May, that this is going to be the feud of the year. And they haven't even had a match yet, and they may not even need a match to make it that good. And I was sitting there thinking to myself, okay, they have the fucking Booker. By the way, Booker T shit on fucking Monday. I wanted to fucking vomit, but that's a whole other point. But here's the thing. I was so excited when Drew McIntyre did that thing about him, which, by the way, it is what it is. And CM Punk's up there, and then they switch. And I went like, what a stupid device, but it was so good. It was so simple. And it was just like the one line where he was like, I'm going to cut this promo in less time than you held that championship. And I went, what a great fucking line. And then him to say like, when I'm cleared, I'm going to make your life a living hell. And you can arguably say that he's already doing that. I was just like, as much as I used to be a CM Punk guy, and I may or may not be right now, I am loving the Drew McIntyre obsession angle. I am loving that Sheamus is kind of a pawn in this entire thing, maybe a bridge gap to get us to where CM Punk can get cleared. I am so into this because I feel like I could see CM Punk costing, McIntyre so that, Burger Sheamus can win. It is going to be so much fun to see where this goes. And I cannot speak more high volume of this because it was fan-fucking-tastic. And I loved it. I really did love it. And especially where it felt real, that's the best feeling in the world.
them switching places with genius because it's like Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner. It's like he sees him, he has this big plot to get him, and you get the meet right here, buddy. It was so well done. These guys are nailing it out of the park, and it's gonna be crazy because they're gonna build up to this match. It'll probably be at SummerSlam or whatever, and the match is probably gonna be so mediocre, but it's not gonna matter because we're gonna get all this content of it on the way. And we talk about this all the time, man. Like that's why like there's certain superstars. It's like even if they're not the best in the ring, it doesn't matter because they can get me there and they can sell me on something, and I'll take the fucking 3 months of lead up as opposed to the 10-minute match every time. So, and this has been great. This has been a great thing. It's worked out for both guys. So I'm looking forward to it, big time.
Is there anything else about that, or would you like to move on?
We can move on to more shine.
Okay. Anything else you got?
You know what disappointed me about the draft? Because we had this nice little thing on Monday with Logan Paul and Raw. And they sold me on a Logan Paul Jey Uso rivalry. And then I was like, what the fuck? They're on the same show. Because here's the thing. And it's kind of heaty too, but it's just like when you see Damian Priest versus Jey Uso for a title, it feels like a mid-card title feud, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
But it's like then I was thinking like, man, a Jey Uso Logan Paul feud would be fucking awesome. But it would be for a mid-card title, but it'd feel better. So it's like I liked all the things going on with Logan on Monday. I thought he did a great job, and the stuff with him and Jay was good. And him getting the 3 Super Bowl rings from Patrick Mahomes and then accidentally punching JD in the face. Like it was just so simple, but it was just one of those things like Logan Paul makes everything more fun because of what he brings with him. It's just like the ridiculousness, and it worked for me. It was something that really entertained me on Monday on a show that I thought like it had some really good wrestling, but the entertainment was kind of meh because we had the draft mixed in. But this to me, I thought really stood out, and I thought they did a good job with it.
So I want to make sure before I misspeak because or misspoke or whatever, I guess it's in past tense, but I want to make sure before I say this, give me 1 second because I want to make sure I say this on the WWE website. Okay, so if you go under free agents, Logan Paul is technically a free agent. He did not sign or get drafted to Raw.
Yeah, because that's kind of his thing. It was like last year's, like him and Brock Lesnar were just free agents. Same with Omos. They negotiate where they can just do whatever they want. But he's on SmackDown. But what I'm saying is there could be a switch. Like they could trade titles here and just say like United States Intercontinental. Okay, if we can get a Logan Paul Jey Uso feud, I'd be all for it because they teased it and I was like, I like this. This works. Like this is the perfect realm for Jey Uso as a guy like Logan Paul.
Because here's the other thing too is not only will it help the superstardom of Jey Uso to get to an actual level where he may not be, as Joe Stopper said, mid-event Jey Uso, but he's clearly selling out merchandise. So what the fuck do we know?
He's super over, but it's like when you see Jey Uso, Damian Priest, are you excited?
Well, I think that's the detriment to this entire thing is that Priest needs some bona fide fucking.
That's what I mean. And Jey Uso needs that too. So putting them together, it's like, look, Backlash is what it is. It's probably gonna be a really good wrestling show, but it's nothing like Cody AJ is a dream match. I'd love to see it, but like there's no feud there. They shook fucking hands on SmackDown. Like it is what it is. But we get this every year with Backlash, and it's always one of those things we go and it's like, feels like a lot of repeats or a lot of nothings. But then after the show, we're like, oh my god, that was such a good show. And I think the fact it's in France is definitely gonna help it because it's gonna be like Puerto Rico last year. How awesome was that Puerto Rico pay-per-view? That was fucking Backlash. It was the same deal. We had the same criticisms we feel like going in, but then it was just awesome. So I expect this to be more of the same. So I hope Priest and Jey Uso put in the fucking show and shove it all down our throats. I really hope they do because I think they're both really good. I thought they both could have done better with some more veteran booking, but who knows? We're going to find out. If these guys are main event caliber, we're going to find out on Saturday or Sunday. Is it Saturday or Sunday?
It's Saturday at 12:30.
Saturday. Oh, it's during the day. Sweet.
Yeah. I won't be able to watch it because, it's Dadder Day over here, but, as we call it in the
Dadder Day.
Dadder Day. Yeah, that I can't, it's cute. I can't take credit for it. My kids came up with it, so it is what it is. But I will say this much very quickly. Lightning round. Want to show you how this is the part when you said this, I started to hyperventilate a little bit and have a panic attack because I thought to myself, oh God, right? So let's go through this really quickly. Quick exercise from Professor Nestle. Ready? Let's see what gets you excited about Damian Priest's long run as heavyweight champion. Let's see the bona fide studs he could face, right? Here we go. Damian Priest versus Sami Zayn? Sure, that's fun. Damian Priest versus Jey Uso? No. Damian Priest versus Seth Rollins? Probably not for 9 months. Damian Priest versus Braun Breaker? Not going to happen right now. Damian Priest versus Ricochet? Yeah, but you wouldn't believe it. Damian Priest versus Sheamus. Yeah, it's cool, but you wouldn't believe that Sheamus is going to win. You move on. Gable's not going to fucking do it. Ivar's not going to do it. Gunther is not going to fucking go up against another heel.
Gunther's going to cash in on whoever beats him.
Right, exactly. Then you move on. It's like CM Punk, but CM Punk's enthralled with that fucking thing. Braun Strowman's maybe, but it is what it is. Mysterio, yeah, but you don't think Mysterio would win. McIntyre, you probably think Punk is going to cost him. And you're just looking down. It's like Dragunov's not going to be there right away. Kofi Kingston is great, but again, he's Kofi, but you wouldn't believe him beating the red hot quote unquote champion, I guess, at this point. And I'm just looking at him like Karrion Kross. No. And then you look at Bronson Reed, the guy can barely get out of the mid card. And I'm just looking at the Odyssey Jones. Thanks for coming. Dijak, thanks for coming. Creed Brothers are a tag team. New Catch Republic. That's their fucking roster. Where's the fucking meat? Where's the fucking champion? Where's the fucking
I feel like
veteran?
you forgot someone because there was someone on the tip of my tongue. But yeah,
I read the result thing that you sent me. So
well, you didn't. You missed one name because Nestlemania. He's back. And he's already feuding with Judgment Day. Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman, Damian Priest. I'm for it. Braun Breaker, Damian Priest. I'm for it. There's some meat right there, bitch.
I'm just saying.
No, I know what you're saying, and the problem is a lot of the people on Raw who are at the top of the card have already fought Priest. So to me, it's like I want to see Braun, both of them, Braun and Braun, and it's like that's more of what I want to see. Like obviously, we assume there's gonna be a Finn flip at some point, but it's still to me it feels like the Gunther thing will be like if the only way it is if Gunther cashes in on him. That's the only
right. Way. I mean, we'll see what Danny says. What if Drew beats Priest at Money in the Bank and the same night Gunther cashes in another 5-minute reign? I think that'd be hilarious. Brit Shamer, thanks, Joe Stopper. But the other thing I will say is this: I don't know if Clash at the Castle is before or after Mania. Do you know off the top of your head?
We can Google it.
For me, here's the logic for me is if Clash at the Castle is
June 15th.
June 15th.
So that's before Money in the Bank, right? Because Money in the Bank's in July.
Okay. Because my thought here is I don't see Gunther winning Money in the Bank. I see Gunther winning King of the Ring. So I don't think that's necessary. I think
what you do is I think you do. Oh my God, this is how you do it. You do Drew versus Priest at Clash of the Castle, and that's CM Punk's return where he cost him, and that sets them up for their feud going into the summer. But it's like that's oh my God, it's just like you just have Punk just keep fucking ruining this guy's life. It's so good.
I just think I'm just saying it's not very top heavy.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of great stars there. It just
right.
it's
not bona fide champions you believe.
Well, that's why to me it's like I thought the Pride was a slam dunk going to Raw. Obviously, when I saw Bianca draft to SmackDown, I was like, well, that's not happening. But I was like, Bobby Lashley, Damian Priest. Now there's a feud. LA Knight, Damian Priest. Now there's a feud. It's just like to me, it's like those were two guys that I expected to go to Raw because I'm like, I feel like with a heel champion, he's some baby faces where SmackDown now is like the baby of all babyface champions. So like, what the fuck's the point? Unless if LA Knight's going to be Logan Paul, like if that's his ceiling for this year, like whatever, we still want that. But it just like, I was looking at it, I'm like, because I'm like, even if you look at SmackDown, like Randy Orton's a babyface right now, they have KO as a babyface. It's like all these guys would be great opponents for Priest, but they're keeping them on SmackDown. So it's like, and then like you said, it's like we get Karrion Kross drafted to Raw. Well, he's a heel. So it's like, it feels like if Priest is going to have a long reign there, he is going to have to become a babyface, which it seems like it felt like that's been the plan all along at some point, but it's going to be curious how they execute it.
Danny says Priest versus Finn if they split. Look, I tend to agree that's a great idea, especially if we get the Demon involved. But I mean, I feel like that means Drew McIntyre. Like, I just feel like
Drew's pretty busy now. So him and CM Punk are going to be feuding like through SummerSlam at least.
No, I know, but I feel like I just feel like you cannot. Like the idea of Drew McIntyre going for the title in his home country to me, it feels like a slam. You would think,
yeah, and that's easy way to that's not until June though.
No, I know. I'm just thinking
I guess that's about a month away now.
Yeah, right. So there you go.
It's about to be May. It's about to be JC's birthday month. So
there you go. And we're gonna have to give him Mandy Rose.
Turning 29, baby.
Yeah, 29 times 40. It's great. Yeah, you're fucking
29 plus.
Give Dom the fucking shot. Give me a fucking break.
I mean, Dom as a champion.
He's out for 9 months.
I know. Well, we'll see if it's that long. That's
we've been talking too much about a couple things. We should move on to a bunch of things. Anything else you want to get heaty?
I can do some quick shines here to round it out. We mentioned Strowman, but I do want to mention 2 banners we had on Raw. Gunther Xavier Woods was a very good match. Gunther got the big win, and I very much enjoyed Liv beating Nia on the Nia's send off to SmackDown and making Liv look legit as she prepares to continue her revenge tour. But yes, we can go to the heat now.
Psh, get him off my TV. Get him off my TV. Get him off of my TV. I will say this much. There's a lot of things going on in my head. I didn't really love the contract signing or the whole Cody AJ presentation of it all. It's like this mutual respect bullshit, and it's just what the fuck.
It's a dream match. It's just like that's what they're just. We're gonna watch it. We're gonna be like, oh, that was awesome. But like the lead in is like it is. There's no feud here. It's one of those things we just had WrestleMania. It's like there's no feud, so like, oh, we'll just give him a dream match. It's Cody's first defense because it's just like people aren't gonna care because it's good. So
it's weird to me. It's like in the end of SmackDown, I was like, oh, gotcha, and it was just like, okay, got it, I got it, but. We got to go home, right? In France, essentially. Like that's it. That's all we have. So I'm just looking at it from a perspective of like, they're really just banking on the fact that they could go and explain everything about how they're both NWA champions.
Well, what if this is the beginning of their feud, Nestlemania?
Maybe.
Because maybe the lead-in is supposed to be it's about respect, but then it's like suddenly in the match or after the match, it becomes not about respect. Like WWE does this all the time. Like this could be just the beginning of their feud. Like AJ, maybe he beats the fuck out of him after or something. You know what I mean? So it's just like, if it's just a one-off, then yeah, maybe they missed an opportunity. But I have a feeling this is just like you sell match 1 is just like the dream match. People want to see it. They've never seen it. And then you get into the storyline to set up match 2 when you need more devices. So
I would tend to agree with you, although this sounds oddly similar to Shinsuke Nakamura, AJ Styles at WrestleMania with the nut shot stuff. So
what the difference between them?
It's night and
Shinsuke
day.
Nakamura and Cody motherfucking Rhodes.
I know.
What's the difference?
I know. The minute when I'm talking to a Cody head, I know.
It's not even a Cody head. He's the fucking face of the company.
I know.
I don't even have to defend him.
I'm not looking to get into an argument. I'm just saying it seems a little odd, but that it is what it is. I don't really have any much more to say on SmackDown because I don't give a shit about most of the things that happen on SmackDown. Moving on, we'll see what we got here. It's not really. So I really did like Gunther and Woods having a longer match, but I just. Like, again, maybe it's just me, but like I enjoy the more matches where I know that I'm going to be like interested in terms of like, oh, this person maybe could win, but
then you probably should never watch a Gunther match because he doesn't lose.
That's my thought process.
Yeah, like, every time we watch a Gunther match, we're like match of the year.
Match of the year.
What the fuck do you want?
No, it's just like the throwing in the towel thing was just like
I never enjoyed that shit.
So it's like when you throw in the towel, I'm like, we're not gonna get Kofi and Xavier Woods yelling at each other because he didn't throw in the towel or he did throw in the towel. Like that to me is like, okay, there's nothing to it. So I was just
to me, what it set up is that you have the King of the Ring coming up. Xavier Woods is the defending King of the Ring. This pretty much wrote him out of that tournament by Gunther beating him up. Gunther set up as a heavy favorite going to King of the Ring. Him and Kofi, I'm guessing, are probably going to meet maybe in this tournament, so it sets up that feud a little bit there. But I think this was a good way to just like get Gunther super like over as the favorite of King of the Ring, and also just like write Woods off King of the Ring and not be able to be in it to defend his thing, so you can have other superstars in it. That's the way I look at it.
That's fine. And I disagree with you. It's just, it is what it is. The other thing that I thought was very odd was this whole thing with, Patrick Mahomes giving the rings. He's a babyface in Kansas City.
I know the crowd didn't know what to do.
The crowd didn't know what to do.
They're going to boo our franchise quarterback, but I don't know.
And then the whole thing with Strowman and Jey Uso had to back off. And I'm just like, wait a minute. Because the old linemen are right there. Like, what are we doing? I when I was watching it,
Ron would destroy all of them.
I know he'd eat them all. But it was just so odd to me because I was just thinking to myself, like, did they forget where they were, or did they just not give a fuck? It was just weird.
That's the weird thing with Logan Paul is because he's friends with everyone. Right. So it's like, even though he's a heel, it's like everyone who's famous loves Logan Paul. He's the man.
It's very, very odd. And then, of course, the throwaway match with the Alpha Academy losing again, which I guess helps to a certain extent. It is what it is. I really thought Maxine did a great job this week in the Jobber Alert. I thought she showed some aggression and stuff, too. And I thought the promo with Gable was good backstage. But I kind of feel like Gable just needs to go on his own or find new people to replace him. It's coming.
And I think there was a purposeful reason why the Creed brothers and Ivy Nigel were drafted off TV is because they want us to like have the Creed brothers out of their mind because they don't want people to put the connection of Gable and them together because that's going to be the new faction. And it's obviously going to put Ivy in a weird spot. Like, so that's the interesting storyline also for me is like, does she stick with her new friend Maxine or does she go with her brothers that she's been with forever? So I think that's what they're leading to. But it's the more shocking thing to me about this Nestlemania, and it continues like, they're booking Awesome Truth like a dominant tag team. They beat DIY. Now they beat them. Just like, it's surprising to me because I think we both agreed going into Mania. We're like, oh yeah, they're going to lose the titles instantly. But it's like, well, no, they're actually going to milk this because both these guys are super over and the crowd loves them. And they have 2 sets of tag belts now. So you might as well just have a fucking fun babyface team. Have The Miz take it on TV and have R-Truth be like, what's up?
As long as they don't go to the new Catch Republic, we'll be fine. That's all.
Well, they got drafted to Raw. So
I know that's what I'm nervous about. When I saw that, I went, oh, Jesus. Like, they're a great team, don't get me wrong, but like I just as a tag
they got
team,
a lot of Brits on Raw, Nestlemania. There's a lot of
Monday night
Brits and Irishmen. Yeah,
Monday night shamer right here.
Yeah, Nestlemania.
There's also
no wonder you were just burying the whole roster
and not
made up of all fucking
Final
European.
Testament. I am not going to enjoy anything on Monday Night Raw. Anything international, anything Final Testament. I'm out. That's what it is.
You got the Braun Meat Brothers on Raw.
Oh my God! So
I cannot wait for Braun versus Braun.
You literally took my hope away because that was what I was gonna say. I was like, the minute I saw both of them on Raw, I was like, oh yay, we're gonna get it.
I'm not wearing my meat match today, but
oh my God,
yeah,
it was so fucking funny to me because all I kept thinking about was, holy shit, like that would be a hilarious tag team too. It would be. Like that is like Braun and
the Roar Dogs.
The Roar Dogs. They're going against
Roar.
That would be so fucking funny. But that was my hope. So I now have to come up with something else on the fly. But it's fine. Moving on to something else, I'm sure. Do you care about Candice and Maxine at all, or is that just kind of is what it is?
I mean, Candice and Indy are head to SmackDown, so that storyline's over.
Yeah, right. It's just like whatever. It felt like we're just doing these clean cuts. It is what it is.
You know what? Zach's onto something. There's also a Bronson triple threat of bronze. Oh my God, it just got even better. That is like, that's my eternal hope. Is for those 3 men to be in the ring together and just fucking slap meat for fucking ever to the end of time, never stop.
Just jerking that meat as much as you were saying, slapping the meat. So
yeah, that's the term we use in Nestlemania.
You can have jerk chicken, you can have jerk meat. It's fine. It's fine. It is what it is. You can eat it any way you want it.
I'm just gonna let you keep doing this to yourself.
You know? Shovel in, shovel out, shovel in, shovel out. Knife goes in, knife goes out.
It goes in and out all right.
No, it does. It does. Anyway, let's get hopeful. Let's just clean the palette up this week.
Glorious. I'll go first, Nestlemania, because there was one European that was sent to SmackDown.
Oh, Jesus.
For those of you not doing visuals, I was reliving the gimmick. Probably the greatest gimmick in NXT history that was fucking working until they just called him up and stuck him back in the Imperium. I'm referring to Giovanni Vinci, Nestlemania. Obviously, Ludwig took him out, kicked him out of Imperium. They made it a point on Raw that Ludwig and Gunther, yes, I said Ludwig first, was the first overall pick in the draft, studs. But Vinci was on the supplemental picks on social after the show, was drafted to SmackDown. And instantly, you know that JC wanted his favorite NXT gimmick of all time back. He literally, we like to make fun of, and they've made fun of it on screen, of how Vinci can't talk. They literally found the perfect gimmick, where his entrance is literally just fucking him posing and taking snapshots and being so fucking charismatic without having to say a word. And it was fucking working a little bit because Vinci's an incredible wrestler. And then, in NXT, it was perfect because it was he just come out, he had these banner matches, he was fighting for titles, he was in feuds with Apollo Crews and stuff. And it was oh my God, they found a way to make a guy who can't talk. They didn't have to give him a manager, nothing. They just gave him the perfect gimmick. And I'm well, SmackDown's supposed to be the wrestling show. Bring it back, baby. Vini, Vidi, Vinci. I need it like I need air. Hashtag JC knows. Hashtag JC's hopes come true. If they bring this back, Nestlemania, I will be the happiest boy in the world. They're just literally it might be up there with Cody finishing the story for me if this gimmick comes back.
We've had some hyperbolic statements tonight.
I don't think you understand how much I love this gimmick. I am so excited. Just looking at when I tweeted the GIF of it, I was like, it like brought back the memories. I'm gonna have to go back and watch some old NXT.
No, you're not.
I might have to.
No, you're not.
Because that entrance is an all-timer, and I need that gimmick back like I need there.
Give him back Fabian Eichner for crying out loud. Says
Oh God, that name was terrible. Giovanni Vinci's such a good name.
I mean, I have to agree with JC there. I mean, Fabian Eichner. I mean, that sounded like
horrible name.
It sounds like fertilizer.
It's also crazy. This motherfucker was in the Cruiserweight Classic. He lost enough weight to be a fucking cruiserweight. That's how good of an athlete he is. He's so good. And I hope that he's probably just going to be in like some matches putting guys over, but it's just like, I need this gimmick. That's all I want. That's all I want for Christmas.
All he wants for Christmas. You're going to wait till December. All right. Anyway, it is what it is. I probably won't have to wait that long. But I will say my hope is very, very specific in terms of I got really excited to see in the backstage segment where we saw our Liv come out and then Dom come out. And I went, this is fun. This is great. And yes, he has Tommy John surgery. He's going to have a bad wing for, I think, a couple little, while there. But the fact that she says, I'm mommy now, and the whole thing is just like, I can see where this is going, and I love it. I mean, Rhea Ripley's going to be a babyface when she returns anyway, but just imagine a world where Rhea is replaced in Judgment Day with Liv Morgan, or if Dominic and Liv become an item instead, and then that whole thing happens, and then Rhea gets upset. Like, man, I am so excited with this. My hope here, this is what I would hope, is that Dominic Mysterio is the reason Rhea Ripley does not become champion again. Like, he screws Rhea Ripley out so that Liv
chooses Liv.
He chooses
his new queen, his new mommy.
He chooses his new mommy. That's what I think would be interesting, because we've gone as far as we can go with mommy and Dom, like Rhea and Dom.
I agree with that. Yeah, because Rhea's gonna have to be. She has to be a babyface.
She's gonna be a babyface. I think having Liv put some type of trance on him or something, and then like takes the bad wing out and hits her with a lead pipe or something. Like it can happen. Like I am really interested in this story because, again, it's the breadcrumbs of it all that I really enjoy. And what better way when she says, I'm going to take everything away from you on this revenge tour than to take away the boy toy. Like
a little Dom.
That is like the most, like, that is the most amazing thing you could do. So I am super excited for this. The potential of it in my brain is just, it's all over the place with it. I am so excited for it, and I cannot wait for this to happen. So my hope is that this is a real thing, and that we get her being Liv to get one over on Rhea when she comes back right away. That's my hope.
I like it. Don't call it a comeback, Nestlemania, but I need you to grit your teeth because Liverpool's #1 is back, baby. I got my wish. The GYV, the Grizzled Young Veterans. We're on AEW Collision this past week. They did lose to the Acclaimed, but my big takeaway in Nestlemania is I got my Zach Gibson Yelly promos back. And the Zach Gibson Yelly promos are my favorite things from NXT UK. And I love NXT UK. NXT UK is where I discovered Tony Storm. It's where I discovered Jordan Devlin. And it's where I got my Grizzled Young Veterans and Zach Gibson's Yelly promos. Like, there's just like these promos, he just yells. And with his accent, it's just perfect. And it's just like, I've been enthralled and obsessed with it ever since. And also what helps is they're fucking damn good in the ring. And them versus FTR is a dream match for me. They're probably way too similar that it's going to underwhelm me, but I don't care because it's still going to be cool. But I'm just glad. This is what I said. I'm like, look in NXT, they gave them new gimmicks. It kind of ruined it. They clearly like weren't a main roster act with this gimmick, but this shit can work in AEW very easily. It's the perfect platform for them. And them being in AEW means I can watch them because I sometimes watch AEW. You know what I watched this week for the first time in a month? That's so many.
Rampage.
Collision.
Oh, okay.
They were on Collision fighting the Acclaimed. I fast forward a lot of the other shit because it all sucks. And I'm also sad because Powerhouse Hobbs and Julia Hart, two of the best entrances and two of my favorite superstars on the show, injured. But I get to grit my teeth. It doesn't seem like it's a one-off. I don't know if they're officially signed there, but they will be working there here and there. So that's exciting for me. And I hope we do Grizzled Young Vets and FTR at Wembley because that would be fucking cool.
Cool. My comeback goes to one Carlito. I just miss this song so much. But man, they finally gave the turn. He fucking dodged out of there as quickly as possible after doing the Three Stooges push and run. And Zelina Vega's like, what the fuck? I just thought all of it was wonderful. I love heel Carlito, babyface Carlito. To me, it does nothing for me. But when I see heel Carlito, excuse me, I am so excited to see that. I think it's wonderful. It brings me back to when he first started that I really loved him. So I am all for that. I think he's got a lot of left in the tank. Obviously, he's gassed to the gills. Let's do it. And he's going to run train on the LWO because that is the least likely group that I could give a shit about. So I want him to run. No, that has nothing to do with it. I like Rey Mysterio. I like the people in it.
No, you don't. You hate Dragon Lee.
Oh, I hate Dragon Lee. Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
And
yes,
that's why you love it so much. But no, the best part of the segment was Nestlemania. Carlito didn't even turn heel. Carlito turned coward. He got caught with like his pants down, and he sold it so well. His face was like, "Oh shit, what do I do? What do I do?" And he's just like, "Oh." And he ran away. It was like a cartoon character. It was so fucking funny. I was just like, "This is great." The fact that it brought the Santos thing full circle because Carlito's like Santos Escobar. This is just like there's so many memes and things you can make out of this. This is so good.
I've loved every second of it, but like as long as Dragon Lee stays the fuck away from me, I'm fine.
He's in the LWO. He's on Monday Night Raw, and he's the main one feuding here with Carlito.
I cannot wait for the future of Lucha Libre to have a fucking grim future. It's gonna be wonderful. That's all I gotta say.
You just probably fucking curse this guy into being the one to dethrone Damian Priest and become the world champion by SummerSlam. You're fast tracking the future of Lucha Libre.
I don't know. I know the curse is real, but I don't know if the curse is the reverse of the curse. You know what I mean?
It can be.
I don't know. Like the curse is real in terms.
I mean, look, I take a lot of credit for being right about a guy like Baron Corbin, but I think part of the reason he succeeded so much was because you were so anti him as well. So it's just like between my great powers and your fucking evil
negativity,
powers,
yes.
It's like yin and yang. It made the spiral of life of perfection of greatness. I don't know. Someone was gonna have to give me cool terms for that from like a
I can already see the backcracker taking a yin and a yang and putting our stupid faces on it. It's a thing. It's gonna be a real thing. We're like the batteries. I'll be like the Energizer Bunny, positive and negative.
I'm the plus. You're the
All right. On that note, let's get to the big old finish. We've got some backlash to talk about. We got some predictions, as well as the fact that we should probably preview AEW, considering JC had nothing but nice things to say this week about AEW. So maybe we should talk about it. I don't know.
Best show ever. We can do that after backlash. But first on SmackDown Nestlemania, we have a tag team title match, playa. We're A-Town Down Under. I believe this is in France, the SmackDown. So this should be a hot crowd. They defend against the Street Profits. Do we have new champions?
Yep.
Is that a yup or a no?
Nope.
It sounded like a yup, so that was very confusing.
Nope.
I tend to agree. I'm sure they're going to cheat and retain somehow. But Nestlemania, we also have another major tag team match. They're farewell matches because both of these tag teams are headed to Monday Night Raw, but they have a match on SmackDown this week. You down with AOP? Yeah, you know me. Taking on the New Catch Republic, who shout out to Dr. Joe's daughter. Apparently, they're her favorite tag team.
Are you serious?
He was watching WrestleMania, and she was really upset when they lost. So
you're talking Backcracker's daughter loves New Catch Republic?
Yeah, just for whatever. She probably just like loved their hair or something. But she was very upset when they lost at WrestleMania.
I mean, Tyler Bate is a very good-looking man. I
like them as a tag team. The name just sucks.
I agree with you. I think the name
NCR. It sounds like a fucking news channel.
Yes. Why couldn't they just be British Strong Style?
I agree. BSS.
Yeah. Boop boop.
BSS greater than the BCC.
Well, depending on who you talk about, John Moxley. It is what it is. Okay. You're gonna get backlashy or what?
I have backlash. Yeah.
Okay. You ready to rock?
No, but yes. There's 5 matches. I have
6 matches.
scheduled.
You are not prepared, are you?
Are you sure about that? Because Wikipedia only has 5 matches.
Wikipedia did not update. I already looked. Apparently, there are 6 matches. I updated it in the knocker because TJ.
What is the 6th match?
Profits versus A-Town Down.
That's on SmackDown, buddy. We literally
It just said that it was supposed to be on there, though. That's weird.
They promoted it last week that it was going to be on SmackDown. So
I think they might have moved it, but I'm probably wrong.
Well, we just predicted it. And we both just picked A-Town Down Under to retain. You literally.
Well, then I'll just delete it then because this is what I'm going off of what Twitter just put out. So I'm just.
Well, if it's a new thing that happened in the last couple minutes.
No, I'm gonna say that I'm wrong. That let's just move on to the 5 that you have.
Can you say that again?
No.
He said he's wrong. I can clip it off and play it forever. First up, we do have a tag team match in Nestlemania on SmackDown, but not with those teams. We have Randy Orton and Kevin Owens, the RKKO, taking on the Bloodline of Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga. This is an interesting one because Randy Orton's a big star, doesn't lose very often, but the Bloodline has a new member. Do we want Solo and Tama taking L's in their debut? Thoughts?
Bloodline has to win this one because Randy Orton is bulletproof and KO has already beaten the fuck out of himself like 600 times, and the Bloodline should beat him anyway. So the fact that if Randy Orton and KO win, this is essentially killing any momentum that the Bloodline will have going forward. I pick Bloodline.
There are 3 certainties in the wrestling Nestlemania: death, taxes, and the Bloodline beating Kevin Owens. So I am with you. Give me Solo and Tama. Next up, we have another tag team match, but this one's for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. The Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane, defend against Bianca Belair, who's no longer on her own because she's got a storm, which is coming. James Cargill and Nestlemania, new champs here. This is an easy one for me. Give me Bianca and Jade. They're going to take those titles. It's an easy way to have them float between both shows. It's an easy way to have Jade in the spotlight without her having to be a single star right away. And it gives Bianca something to do when she's not fighting for world titles. So this seems like a slam dunk to me.
I was also and still going to pick Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair, because I want them to win because they are red hot right now, and the Kabuki Warriors have been kabuki poopy. And I don't like that. And also, I am waiting, salivating. Might be 6 months, a year, who knows? When that moment when Jade turns on fucking Bianca Belair, it is going to be fucking awesome.
WrestleMania.
It's going to be like when that moment happens, it is going to be
Royal Rumble
leads
into WrestleMania.
Let's do it.
Slam dunk home run. I'm with you. Next up, we have a triple threat match for the WWE Women's World Championship. Bayley defends her title in a triple threat match against the third member of the Big Three, Naomi. And it's Tiffy time. Tiffany Stratton, Nestlemania. Who you got?
I mean, I would be really excited to see if Tiffany would win here, but I feel like it's too early and Bayley just won this thing. So I feel like Bayley has to retain this thing.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the triple threat's interesting because I like Naomi and Tiffany together. And I think this is a cool way to have one of your younger stars involved in a title picture in a big feud and a big stage. And I'm sure the French crowd is going to love her because the crowds just love Tiffy time right now. I mean, she's a stud. Next up, we have a singles match for the World Heavyweight Championship. That's right, not a mid-card championship. The World Heavyweight Championship. Well, maybe it is a mid-card championship because Seth was pretty mid. Damian Priest defends against Jey Uso. Give me Damian Priest. This is an easy one.
Yeah, I was going to say Damian Priest has to win this thing because as much as you want to present Jey Uso as a bona fide star, and he is in the merchandise sales, to me, he is not where I needed him to be in terms of being my next world heavyweight champion, quote unquote.
Do we think he's ever a world champion?
I think they could take a flyer on him. I think for me,
I think they should experiment with a mid-card run first.
I agree with you 100% on that. I feel like he's an interesting Money in the Bank winner. He's an interesting, maybe like wins a tournament, wins something. I wouldn't put him in a Royal Rumble winning going to WrestleMania, but I can see him like where he is now. But I just don't see him as a bona fide champion.
I tend to agree, but I do think obviously this is why the split titles is more exciting. There's more opportunities for the guys like the Damian Priest and the Jey Usos to become world champions and give them a chance to take that next step and become that huge star. And then we have I'm assuming the main event, the dream match, singles match for the undisputed WWE Championship. Normally, Nestlemania, for the last couple of years, this would be a Roman Reigns match, but not anymore, baby. Story finished. Cody Rhodes defends against AJ Styles.
This one's going to be a pants off dance off, but I mean, it really is. And so, I mean, we picked Cody, both of us, but
Do you think AJ beats him up after the match or something? Like, could it go? Cody goes for the handshake and AJ just snaps, or does somebody return, or does there some? It feels like there's going to be some sort of setup here.
You're going to think I'm crazy.
Yes. Oh, that wasn't rhetorical.
No, that's just more of a thing. And so For some reason there's a long history between Tama Tonga and Cody Rhodes. I don't think it's going to happen right now, but I feel like they're going to address that at some point. Not saying it's going to happen directly after Backlash, but I could see the bloodline going right back to Cody Rhodes. I really could. I don't know why.
I don't think they're going back to Cody till fucking Roman comes back because Nestlemania. Know what this Tama Tonga thing that you just said sounds like?
No, don't say it. I know exactly what you're.
You know exactly what I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Who was the other big star that came from Japan? They told me he was gonna be a world champion. There's a tag team, and right now he's fighting a debuting tag team in NXT.
No.
Orange County.
Listen,
I'll
tell you this. Carl. Listen, I'll tell you this.
I love that. I didn't even have to say it. You just
I know.
Carl Anderson for those.
Listen. I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. All right.
That was the one, like, though, immediately when you made it, because there are some, like, I'm like, okay, I trust you. Like, you know what you're talking about. But this one, immediately when he said, I looked at him, I was like, no fucking way.
The biggest
instant no. I was like, I don't care how good this guy is in the ring. Zero chance. Fucking Carl? You kidding me? What the fuck am I looking at here?
There's three people.
At least is cool. It's just, I think
three people that I regret opening my mouth for.
Carl Anderson, Mojo Rawley.
And Von Wagner. That's it.
Hey, you know what? Von was fun. I appreciate it.
Come Tuesday, baby.
Yeah, not anymore.
Tuesday. He'll get picked up by AEW and we'll go, what the fuck is going on?
I mean, there's no way. I mean, Kyle O'Reilly's probably like, please God, no, Tony. Please God, no. Von Wagner, I think he could do well in Impact, Nestlemania.
I think he would too, but if Moose can be world champion, Von Wagner could be world champion.
You're not a Moose guy.
Nope. I don't buy half the Impact roster. I'm sorry. I really don't. Jordan Grace is the best thing on an Impact, in my opinion, but that's just me. But
she was in the Royal Rumble this year.
And I think she's just a fucking amazing talent. But that's the women's division in there is way better than the men's division, in my opinion. That's just me. All right. Anyway, would you like to talk about AEW very quickly before we get the fuck out of here?
Yeah, I don't have anything prepared though, so you're gonna have to carry this one.
Oh my!
I talked about my two favorite things, which are Tony Khan taking a fucking Tony Khan driver and grit your teeth.
So I'm a little bit confused on things. They are really hyping up this Kenny Omega returns to Winnipeg kind of thing here. They're also having Mariah May versus Serena Deep. The professor continues to climb to see if she can become the next challenger. But I think
she came out on, it might have been Saturday. I don't know. I was fast forwarding. I think she came out. She appears to be the next challenger for Miss Toni Storm.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it. Of course, we also have something that would excite Adam Nessel, the person, if it wasn't fucking old man Edge versus this other person. We have Adam Copeland defending his TNT championship against one of the members of House of Black. I'm hoping
it better be Malachi, but it's gonna be Malachi. Brody.
It's gonna be Brody, or it's gonna be fucking
always fucking Brody.
Buddy.
I feel like you already wrestled Buddy.
It may be, but again,
by the way, do you just call him Copeland?
Copeland. Yeah, it's Copeland. I know. I do.
But on this program, Nestlemania, we call him the Cope Dope.
We also have an FTW championship as the learning tree. Chris Jericho puts on a great fucking wrestling contest against Shibata, which, sorry, Shibata and Jericho.
You know what's better than Shibata? Shibata bread's delicious, but that's like this. They've made this guy look like a fucking chump. Like I've never seen his work in Japan. He probably was a stud, but every time he's on AEW, he seems like a loser and he loses. So you didn't do a good job, and now you're putting him in there with a fucking expired bag of shitty fucking milk. Who now is young protege is Big Bill. Oh, you're really getting me interested. Nestlemania, I'm gonna need an assist on this one. What would I like Chris Jericho to do?
Let me guess.
Get him off my TV!
Get him off my TV. Get him off my TV. Get him off my TV. I think that's as far as I'm willing to go when it comes to previewing AEW Dynamite. If the Virtuoso wants to fight fucking Thunder Rosa, I'm all for it. I think that's probably going to be. And we know that Big Willie Goat's got to be somewhere doing some nonsensical thing that we'll enjoy. It'll be great. Like the fact that he has to wrestle some of these bums, I'm just like, what the fuck are we doing? But I guess
here's my issue with him is like his feud is with Roderick Strong now. Like what? How do you go from Bryan Danielson to fucking Roddy Strong in the fucking third mid-card title? Like I guess Will Ospreay in theory, if you're not gonna be world champion, like international title is a good label for him, but it's like he has to feud with Roddy Strong. Like what? Come on, what are we doing?
I will say this much: adjacent to Roddy on Hey EW, they just had Kyle O'Reilly on here.
Did you get a haircut yet?
No, but here's the thing. Every time I see Kyle O'Reilly do something outside of wrestling, I go, I am so disappointed that this person is not the same person on my TV screen.
Hey,
Like,
we had Cool Kyle for like 2 weeks in NXT.
oh
And
my
everyone hated
God.
it except for me. I loved Cool Kyle.
He is so fucking funny. Like, if you go out of your way to watch AEW this week for fucking watching Kyle O'Reilly just go with the punches, and it's hysterical. And all I could think about was, this guy needs to be like that. Just be like that. Instead, he's doing the fucking jujitsu fucking, I'm gonna fucking kick your leg off and fucking play air guitar with the fucking, none of that shit. Just be Kyle. God damn it. Sorry. I just really enjoyed the hilarity that ensued, but it is what it is. Anything else? I'm not even gonna promo. All I'll say this is please don't fuck up Mariah May, because she's clearly the heir.
She's been doing great.
She's the
They've
heir
been doing
apparent
great.
here to beat Tony, and that's what we want.
They
That's
stuck
it.
her with their best. They're one of their best acts in AEW. It's like she's fine, and they literally like Tony Khan's fine. The one good thing he does booking wise is every now and then it's like every 3 weeks he's like, you know what? I'm gonna have Mariah May wrestle Anna Jay this week. They've wrestled like 10 times, and Nestlemania, I have not missed a match. So, it's just one of those. It's like, what do we have to promote? They fought on Rampage like 3 times. They think they fought on Dynamite more recently. They promote Collision. It's like, we're going up against the NBA. Anna Jay, Mariah May, and it rhymes. It's gotta be good. So
there's more to that, I'm sure, but I'm gonna leave it there.
Whatever works, man.
That's what you're telling yourself.
Yeah. By the way, Damian Priest not only to become a world champion, but did you see his new girl?
No, is it Lana?
Yeah. Wow. Damian Priest coming up a winner apparently in 2024.
He still doesn't understand the bisexual Undertaker thing, which I think is hilarious.
I mean, yeah, that's what makes it even better. So,
yeah. All right, I think we're good. You want to get the hell out of here?
Yeah, might as well.
Might as well. You've put up.
I gotta watch some old Vinci matches from NXT.
If you can find them on the tube. Anyway, thank you for listening and watching the Jobberknocker podcast. We'll be back next week with some more Jobberknockery.
Grit your pose.